Imagine to people who grew up in the same city, went to similar schools, and started adult life with almost the same opportunities. Years later, one of them built financial stability, invested, created assets, and now lives with peace of mind. The other is still trapped in debt, working hard and yet constantly feeling like money is never enough. The question becomes inevitable. What truly separates these two lives? The answer may be uncomfortable, but it begins in the mind. Before wealth exists in a bank account, it first exists in the way a person thinks, decides, and reacts to money. Many people believe becoming wealthy is simply about earning more, but reality shows something very different. There are people who earn high salaries and remain broke, while others with average incomes gradually build prosperity over time. This happens because money is not just mathematics. It is deeply psychological. Every financial decision is influenced by emotions, beliefs, and experiences accumulated since childhood. And this is exactly where most people begin losing the game without even realizing it. From an early age, almost everyone hears phrases that seem harmless but end up shaping how they view money for the rest of their lives. Money is hard to earn. Rich people are greedy. Anyone with a lot of money must have done something wrong. These ideas, repeated over many years, create a kind of invisible mental programming. Believing wealth is not meant for them. Even when opportunities appear, the mind reacts with fear, doubt, or even guilt. What makes this more powerful is how quietly it happens. Most people never notice their decisions are being guided by old beliefs. When someone receives a raise, for example, there are two possible reactions. A mind prepared for growth thinks about investing, saving, or multiplying that income. A mind conditioned by scarcity often feels an immediate urge to spend, almost as if the money needs to disappear quickly. Over time, this seemingly small difference produces enormous results. It's not only about how much you earn, but about what you believe you deserve to keep. Another powerful factor is the emotional relationship each person develops with money. For some people, money represents freedom, security, and possibilities. For others, it carries anxiety, pressure, and even fear. This difference completely changes financial behavior. Those who see money as a tool tend to make more rational decisions. Those who see it as something rare or threatening often act on impulse. That is why so many people fall into repeating cycles of debt. They promise themselves they will change. They try to control spending for a while, but eventually they return to the same patterns. The problem rarely exists only in the bank account. It lives in the meaning money holds inside the mind. If someone deeply believes they will never have enough, every financial gain feels temporary. They spend to relieve emotions, to impress others, or simply because they assume the money will not last anyway. This behavior is not about intelligence. It is the result of a poorly developed psychological relationship with money. There is also a silent factor that separates people who build wealth from those who remain stuck in scarcity, the way they relate to time. A scarcity-driven mindset usually seeks immediate rewards. Small pleasures now feel more important than greater benefits in the future. People who build wealth develop the ability to wait. This difference may seem simple, but it dramatically changes a person's financial destiny. Imagine two common choices, spending today or investing for results 10 years from now. Most people choose immediate pleasure because the future feels too far away. However, those who learn to value the long term create a powerful effect called accumulation. Small decisions repeated over many years turn into massive outcomes. This principle explains why so many fortunes are built slowly. There is no magic involved. There is psychological discipline. While some people search for shortcuts to get rich quickly, others understand that wealth is the natural result of consistency. Another aspect that is rarely discussed is the social environment. The people around us strongly influence our financial decisions. If someone constantly lives among people who spend everything they earn, that behavior begins to feel normal. Social pressure encourages spending, status, and the appearance of success. On the other hand, when someone is surrounded by people who talk about investing, planning, and building assets, their mindset naturally shifts. The human brain learns a great deal through imitation. This means wealth can also be learned by observing different habits. Many people who remain poor are not trapped only by income, but by the mental environment they live in. They were never exposed to conversations about strategy, financial freedom, or long-term growth. When they finally encounter these ideas, they often realize something surprising. Money is not only about working harder. It is about thinking differently. The good news is that the psychology of money is not permanent. It can be changed. The human mind is extremely adaptable. When someone begins to study financial education, observe the habits of successful individuals, and reflect on their own beliefs, a gradual shift begins to happen. Small decisions start being made with more awareness. Impulsive spending decreases. The focus slowly moves from short-term gratification to building something meaningful for the future. Over time, money stops being a constant problem and becomes a strategic tool. This transformation does not happen overnight. It requires attention, patience, and repeated new behaviors. But every different choice creates a new direction. The true financial turning point happens when someone understands that wealth does not begin in the wallet. It begins in the mind. And once the mind changes, behavior changes with it. That is the moment when the cycle of scarcity finally starts to break.